The lighthouse in the storm. I'm your host, Bill Noble. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live, and if the content works for you, and invite you to hit the like button. This show is brought to you by my Patreon, where I am sharing everything that I know. If you want to know how to think about the markets, if you want me to sort of impart the way I think to you, plus come up with some cool TA altcoin trading ideas, come on over. QR code now on the stream. QR code on the stream. All right, let's welcome who's here. We have Israel live from Alabama. We have T-Bone 1976, who uses his own personal Twitter to promote my Patreon of his own volition. Digital Bobby Ashton, welcome. Richard Barry, let's go. Okay. Havok, hit the like button. Thank you. Okay, let's talk about how we're going to do this today. The Schiller, number 23, with the Notorious love. Let's talk about how we're going to do this today. We're going to go through some news. Then we're going to talk about the Bitcoin ETF. And we're going to talk about the Bitcoin ETF in exactly the opposite way that the planet has been talking about it. I've been doing so and will continue to do so. Then we're going to talk about altcoins. Then you're going to want to see the charts, because guess what? The surprise mega mover after this down move is complete could be Ethereum. Wild as it is, right? Got some really good research, worked with somebody who was really smart to get that. Okay. You're not going to want to miss 1 second of it. Not to mention, we are going to go over about how crypto is now this little boat inside this giant legacy ocean. And these guys who, they're like, BlackRock and these guys, they're like the wind, the rain, and the lightning, right? And the tide. They determine where the little crypto boat goes. And in case you're wondering, altcoins, well, they're like little mice in the ship, and they're just getting thrown from one end to the other as the big boat or the little boat floats and bobs and weaves in the big ocean. Legacy thinking has to be applied to crypto. So when the market is down and it looks like it's going to zero, you don't panic. Because you know what? Everybody over in Legacy, when they see massive amounts of red ink, their thought process, ignore the noise. They're like, oh, we want to buy that. Oh, look, the crypto ninnies marked it down 8%. That's how they think. Right? Just like everybody, when the Bitcoin ETF came out, everyone was like, we are saved. Whoosh. Dump. Now it's over. It's done. Meanwhile, the guys with the suits are like, literally, it's like beep, beep, beep. They're literally backing up the truck. Even if you see 38K, my personal opinion is you don't. This live stream's out there for a week. We'll see what happens, whether I'm right or whether I'm wrong, whether it's 48 or 38 or 36. I'm sorry, whether it's 40, 38 or 36. I don't care. They're out there waiting for this. They're dying to do it. And they may be dying to do it. I can't believe this, but they may be dying to do it more in Ethereum than in Bitcoin, because Ethereum never went up. So I have no idea why everybody's selling Ethereum down 5%. I hope they're all having fun. Okay. Now, with that said, let's welcome who else is here. Bull Runner is here. Indie Rock Crypto. Ave Medina. Steve J. Pancakes and Peanut Butter. What's up? Okay. Uniswap liquidity providers to boldly go. Welcome to the show. Welcome to anybody who is watching on YouTube and other media platforms. We welcome you. Okay, news. Let's go. Oh my God, Bitcoin slides below 40K, down 20% from post ETF euphoria. Oh my God, we went from 250,000 to 38K. And are these polar bears diving under the ocean? Don't you love the press, right? 250,000 to 38K. And that's the market update. No, I'm just kidding. It could be. It could be. Bitcoin ETFs amassed 95,000 Bitcoin in 6 days, approaching 4 billion assets under management. Now, of course, it makes great Twitter content and I have some of that, not going to lie, to be like, ooh, Grayscale sold this many Bitcoin. Ooh, look, BlackRock bought that many. Wait a minute. Why is everybody buying Bitcoin to begin with? Is anyone talking about that? No. Which is why we're going to talk about that. No. Right? And T-Bone is like, yeah, 6 months from now, we will be talking about something different. Terry Butts, Aroki, Aiken, JB from Southern California, welcome. We'll be talking about something else. Nobody is talking about why Bitcoin. Coinbase has a 70% chance of a full dismissal in the SEC lawsuit. Yeah, I kind of think they're done with whatever it is they were doing because I'm pretty sure Coinbase is like an integral custodian in the Bitcoin ETF process. So, Coinbase will do what the investment banks do. They'll pay a fine, won't admit wrongdoing, but there isn't going to be a judgment against Coinbase. But notice how the media just can't get enough. They can't get enough of 2022 and 2023 headlines. I got a couple more for you coming up. And oh my God, I love this. The New York Times still doesn't get Bitcoin. Good. Thank God, right? Because remember, in 2017, when the New York Times ran a picture of two guys in Bitcoin and Ethereum Christmas sweaters that said, everyone's getting filthy rich and you're not. That was the end. Let's make sure the New York Times is not bullish, please. Sotheby's digital art Genesis cat sells for $250,000 in Sotheby's auction. Okay, so this Bitcoin ordinals thing. You want to know why it's gonna explode? Ironically, because the Bitcoin people hate it. This stuff is the most hated. It's like the hated rally. They hate it. They hate anything going on Bitcoin except Bitcoin. Now, wouldn't it be funny, because I've talked about this before and I was either wrong or early. What about art? I mean, you could make a sculpture or do a painting on the wall of a cave or a mural. Why not inscribe art on the Bitcoin blockchain? If that becomes art, I mean, yes, this could be seen as froth, but, remember, Tom Brady and Madonna paid $600K for a Bored Ape. That's still way off the high of Nineveh, honestly. Okay, so candidate A may leave a deafening crypto silence as he exits the 2024 presidential race. Folks, just in case you're wondering, there really is no such thing as a pro-crypto politician. Maybe Hester Pierce, but that's not an elected official. Politicians are going to like whatever the Treasury and the Fed say they should like. Now, certain presidential candidates that have NFT collections, their affinity to crypto is obvious. But you know what? Don't vote for somebody or not vote for somebody because they say things about crypto, right? You got to understand why you like crypto. You don't need anybody telling you that, oh, I like crypto, so you should like me. No, you're going to be like, I like crypto because it's a whole different thought process. Now, the media, oh my God, they can't get enough. Terraform Labs declares bankruptcy. Another reminder, there's nothing scarier than forced selling. Forced selling, right? Speaking of forced selling, FTX sold $1 billion of Grayscale's Bitcoin ETF, explaining some of the outflows. So FTX creditors getting paid or anything related inside FTX, loans being repaid with either GBTC or ETHE, which could have been why ETHE and ETH never went up, because there was selling going on that we couldn't see. That could have been paying debts back related to FTX. This is a January 2024 headline. They're still selling. It's still, the media just can't get enough of FTX. Meanwhile, everyone's selling crypto. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's going to zero. And the S&P 500 is hitting an all-time high. And I have been in the Patreon group explaining to people why the S&P is at an all-time high. I'm going to explain it at the end of the PowerPoint, and you're not going to want to miss it. Because if you miss this and I'm right and it happens, you're going to wake up one day and go, oh my God, I can't believe how much money is being pumped into the system. Share price surge helps largest hedge funds to biggest profits on record. Okay, who are these guys? They stayed with the trend in equities, or when it turned, they jumped on it. They knew that the Fed was going to not tighten anymore. They knew that the dollar was going lower, and that a dollar invested in equities was better than a dollar in the bank. Now, S&P at its all-time high, Bitcoin is 62% off of its all-time high. And that's the market update. Really. And they can't get enough of equities, and everybody is waiting for another $2,000 dip in Bitcoin. Ridiculous. And ETH never went up. It never went up. And people are falling over themselves to sell it today, January 22nd. And even if they fall over themselves to sell it tomorrow, you know who's down there? These guys, right? May not be them, but it'll be portfolio managers who, while I'm at it, they're sitting in a conference room, right? And they're like, so, ladies and gentlemen, what are we doing for next month? Or how are we shifting our strategy for the first quarter? Well, that's got to involve Bitcoin. Well, you're like, well, how do you know? Well, because this is how legacy institutions make decisions. They go, okay, well, we're going to put some in now. And then while they cheapened it up and people are interested, and the Bitcoin ETF to a certain degree has proved itself because money's flowing in, they're not focusing on what Grayscale is selling. They're focusing on what's coming in and what's the hot new thing that's going to give them a kicker with equities at the top of the range. You have a new group of player in crypto, these guys, right? Now, next, another shockingly positive thing. U.S. regulators hit back at banks with tougher capital rules because the banks can't manage interest rate risk. Imagine regulators making sure banks don't blow up instead of going after crypto companies. Wow. Like, the world is no longer totally upside down. Imagine regulators actually doing their job. That was great. Companies rush to the bond market to buy $150 billion. The only thing we don't like, the only thing we like better than debt in America is more debt. Interest rates went down. Everybody was able to borrow money. Now, why did interest rates go down? Because Jerome Powell decided to stop being hawkish and tell people the next move was a rate cut. So why did he go from rate hikes to rate cuts in 3 weeks back in November? Now, of course, we didn't have any time to talk about this because crypto was mooning so hard because he pumped high-powered money into the market to save the banks. And you're like, well, save the banks from what? I'll tell you. Just stay there. Right? Everyone wants to borrow money because they need it. The system needs it. Now, if the system needs $150 billion, they probably need 5 times that. We owe $34 trillion, and everybody has forgotten about that. Everybody, right? The only thing we like more than debt is more debt. And the only solution to a debt problem is a currency devaluation. 2024 will be known as the year of currency movement, not just crypto, but fiat as well. Okay. Transferring frozen assets from country A that we don't like to country B that we do like. Oh, I like this. The Financial Times, an economics newspaper, thinks in its opinion section that that would be elegant justice. So let me get this straight. You're trusted with the world's reserve currency, and you're going to do a stunt where you're going to say, okay, you know what? We believe these people are good and these people are bad, and we're going to take from them and give to the other. Now, regardless of who's good and who's bad, that is not what the person or the entity controlling the reserve currency would do. Can you imagine in some context, Vitalik going, yeah, you know what? These ETH wallets, yeah, we don't like them. We're gonna move it somehow from one place to another. Or we're gonna shut this wallet off just arbitrarily. People would be dumping that crypto massively if anything like that ever occurred. But you know what? They may do it because if they think it's elegant justice, so might some politicians. So might some politicians. German car suppliers are struggling with electric vehicle shift. German farmers are also driving their tractors on highways because apparently growing things and making food is fallen on, I don't know, the eyes of people like, Klaus and all those people. Making food is no good, and you have to have an electric car, unless, of course, it's sub-freezing. Just a reminder that they think their money is their money and your money is their money. So when you get off this stream and you go look at the market and everybody is selling and everything is red and everybody's getting liquidated, just remember, you're here to make money, but just really remember why you're here. Okay? Just remember that. Like German car suppliers are struggling to adjust to an electric vehicle shift. Like, do you think these guys are ever going to stop? Especially in places like Europe? Like if they can't do it in the United States because of a political shift, they'll go do it somewhere else. Remember why you're here. Remember that. Okay, now, let's see who else is here. Steve Mesa, welcome. Brick Dreams. Remember the pro-Bitcoin New York City mayor. Flying Tiger says, if you make jewelry out of gold, it's still gold. Right on. Right on. Okay, let's go to PowerPoint. Going to hit it hard on PowerPoint. Okay. This show is brought to you by my Patreon group. My Patreon group, you can scan this QR code. Wisdom, right? I want to give wisdom to people real time. Like, I don't want to write some book. You know, maybe there'll be a book one day. But the best way to get wisdom is real time wisdom. How do you think about this price action? What are the chart levels, right? What are the ideas that come from the thought process? Who thinks about crypto? Who thinks about markets? Well, I do. Whoops, I do. So does my Patreon. So, you know, if you're interested in that, if you're interested in how to think about these markets and not get all turned around so you can be a portfolio manager and not somebody swinging around in the boat wondering, oh my God, which end of this boat am I going to puke over? No. Patreon. The Bitcoin ETFs are a force of nature. They took in 25x of El Salvador's Bitcoin holdings, about the size of Tether's Bitcoin assets on reserve, 40% of MicroStrategy, and exceeded the silver ETF in a week. And all anybody wants to talk about is Grayscale selling. The BlackRock ETF, right, the Terminator, 1 billion inflows in 4 days with 10 direct competitors in the race. Like, do you think that these guys are going to stop? Like, okay, yeah, they may let Grayscale sell, right? They're like, okay, we have to buy, but we'll let Grayscale sell first. Unless you wake up one day and this catalyst that I've talked about a little bit on Twitter and a lot about in Patreon shows up. In other words, can you imagine waking up one day, you, BlackRock, and going, wow, this thing just happened. We should have bought a lot more Bitcoin. Don't go anywhere. Bitwise portfolio management team delivered 56 million of Bitcoin at 0.01% cost. 446 million over 6 days. BITB. Now that we've talked about Bitcoin, this is an intraday chart, very risky on a long-term live stream. It'll be very interesting in a week to see whether this was a good idea or not. It either ages well or it doesn't. So this is hidden pivot analysis. It is interesting that 2305 is an important level in ETH. I think if it holds, it could be a major statement on the part of ETH. If it doesn't hold, well, then I guess we have to find a new level. But I thought I would start out with something tactical to give you something immediately to look at. And even if you're looking at this a week later, you'll be like, wow, you know, ETH's at 2,000 or ETH's back at 2,600. It didn't pay to be negative on a big down day. Since Christmas, it hasn't paid to buy green and it hasn't paid to sell red. And it doesn't get any redder than it was today. I mean, this is pretty much down only. This is the other use of this chart, regardless of whether the hidden pivot analysis winds up correct. I mean, this was like down, chop, 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 down only. This is people giving up. 1 month after Christmas, 1 month after the Bitcoin ETF, 1 month after absolute total euphoria. Now everyone's like, I don't want it anymore. No, what happened was you didn't get immediate gratification, which is fine. I know everyone's all bulled up. I get it. But it never works that way because legacy is involved. Legacy is like an aircraft carrier, right? You don't just turn it on a dime. But these guys are turning towards Bitcoin. And at the end of this, I'm going to tell you why. Okay, let's talk about altcoins. SUI. Let me ask you a general question about altcoins. Who's going to reinvent DeFi? Redphone is all over this on Twitter. Like, if I see a coin followed by Redphone, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm all over it. Okay, SUI. Is this the future of DeFi? I got another altcoin that I featured exclusively in my Patreon, like index funds, farming volatility. Arthur Hayes talked about it, still learning about it. SUI, right? They have trading platforms. This feels like ETH 2020. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But you know what? There's a 13 bottom here, and there's the blow off bottom level, right? So if you have a bottom signal, this should be where, the extreme selling hits. Somebody knew exactly where that level was. This could go up, this could go down, but people, listen to me. They, as in big players, are out there looking at these coins going, where can we get in? They can be right. I can be right. You can be wrong. I can be wrong. They can be wrong. But they are hunting for a bottom. That's what this shows. This boomer TA that I use, this DeMark stuff, yeah, this is everywhere in legacy. Nobody does not have DeMark. Now, are they on SUI? I don't know. But I'm seeing this across a range of products. Okay. FET, AI. Funny how that's just like not on anybody's conversational radar. You have a DeMark 9 bottom after they ran all the stops through both of these lows. So they just ran the stops. You have a DeMark signal. This is automatically generated by this DeMark-based quant RSI. You have a new low here that's not confirmed by a new low in the momentum indicator. Everyone wanted it 80 cents, and they can't sell it fast enough at 55. What does the sheepdog do? You protect the flock from the wolves. Who's taking your fetch at 55? The wolf. Even if it goes lower, the wolf will still be down there. ETH. Oh my God. 4-hour chart. 13 bottom. 9 bottom. Could it go to 2250? Maybe. But why is this down only? Like maybe there's selling going on in legacy for ETHE. But why is everybody buying into a bearish narrative? Just because it's going down doesn't mean the use case for all these things has changed. It just means, you've got people in legacy selling, right? Because people may be moving from Ethereum into whatever. But as soon as that selling stops, people in legacy and people in crypto, like remember the ETH ETF, people are going to go, you know what? ETH never went up. And then it went down. So it's like double cheap. It's double cheap. Because there was no FOMO to unwind. It just kind of went this way. Now, let's do a deeper DeMark dive. Okay, so this and the thing I got at the end of the PowerPoint, this is worth the price of admission. So when you have a DeMark trend, okay, when you have a modest one, all right, particularly if you're talking about monthly charts, the little count, the numbers are going to go from 1 to 9. And these numbers are like a set of conditions. Like the low is lower than the low 2 days ago. Okay. Now, the numbers will go from 1 to 9 usually, right? Now, on the 4th bar, you're supposed to get a counter trend move. So you don't want to jump on it right away. Like this is the market going down. So it'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now this is March of 2002. This is right before the Celsius, Luna, FTX, system-wide 2008 on steroids calamity in crypto. And what were they doing on the 4th bar on the monthly chart? Well, they did it on the 3rd bar too. They take it down and they take it all the way back up. And this one, they took it way down and only took it way back up again. Close green. And I remember this. Like ETH kept going through 3,600. I'm like, get out, get out, get out, get out. Hedge, hedge, hedge. ETH just keeps making these little new highs on the 4-hour chart. Everybody in March of 2002 was telling you Bitcoin was going to 50K. Oh my God, LFG, NFA, let's go. We are so back, 50K. And I am like, get out, get out, get out. The reason I got the audience that I have, honestly, is because at these like critical moments, I'm like, get in or get out. That was a get out moment because they were telling you everything was okay, and it obviously wasn't. And they squeezed out all of the shorts, right? So Fed starts tightening, 3 down months. Everybody knows something is wrong, but they keep squeezing you. They squeezed you for 2 months. And on that 4th bar, they made this market look like, they made Bitcoin look like $1 million. I was like, oh my God, I can't get through to anybody. And I read the prayer of the sheepdog on the air, which is something from, areas of life where you protect people, as my last ditch attempt. And luckily the market nosedived surprisingly that day. I was so out of gas from telling the people to get out because they made the market look like $1 million right before they absolutely mercilessly dropped it. This was down only and dead. Just as a reminder, this was so bad, it kept Bitcoin below 20K for 6 months, right? That extreme sentiment right there on the 4 was this market's last bullish gasp. Now, why did I just tell you that fascinating story? Because guess what, people? Bullish candles. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, this looks just like pre-FTX in reverse. So, okay, yes, this candle is horrendous, right? Candlestick textbook, you rush up, you have a huge emotional high, and then you come down below the monthly open. At face value, that's terrible. However, if we look at it in the context of DeMark, we look at the DeMark theory and we look at it as the inverse of pre-Celsius. What happens if everybody is in a hurry to puke Bitcoin at either 40 or 38K? I'm personally guessing 40, but the live stream's up for a week, so we'll see. Why the heck is everybody selling in the face of this candle? Okay, if the market continues to go down, okay, fine. Then, maybe we just read the whole thing wrong and this candle at face value. But folks, this is the exact opposite. The bearish case here was unbelievable, and the bullish case here is also unbelievable, and no one's talking about it because everyone's like, oh my God, Grayscale sold. Oh, wait, my altcoin the altcoin market went down 10%. Who cares? Who cares? Nothing mattered here except getting out. And my personal opinion, nothing matters here except getting in. And if I'm wrong, as the guy who taught me about markets used to say, I'll lose money. But getting in is important. Because you know what? The guys who drive this market now, they want to get in. And they're going to see this dip. They're not going to look at this monthly candle and go, oh yeah, we're going to come back in at 15K. No, they're going to say, wow, they dropped it 20%. How nice. Okay, much simpler Bitcoin using fib speed resistance lines, right? 42K, 40K is support. You have this big emotional high. It's not confirmed, called bearish divergence or bear div by the guys on YouTube. Okay, the RSI corrects itself. 40K. Go to the zoomed in version. Notice how they press this line twice. Things in technical analysis happen in threes. So they have to press it. This blue bar comes from Bill Williams. He's kind of like a ingenious version of Tom DeMark. Tom DeMark was a reversal guy. This guy was a trend guy. He says these blue squat bars can appear plus or minus 2 or 3 candles from a bottom. Sometimes it works like up here. Why is everyone selling? Oh, wait, look at this. Jim Cramer says it's unlikely that Bitcoin finds its footing. I'm convinced he does this on purpose. He does this on purpose. I mean, why is everyone selling? Like, everyone was buying up here and everyone is selling down here. Okay. When everyone was buying up here, you go, people are too emotional. When people are selling down here, you go, oh, people are too emotional. The case is still the case. The only thing that's changed here is like the emotional swing and the P&L destruction, because the traders were up here selling and the traders are up here buying. The traders were getting run over when it was going straight up. But when you start to have this price action, that's when they win, because they fade you on the way up and the way down. You're buying at 48 and you're selling at 40, thinking you're going to get to buy it back at 38 or 35. Maybe you do. But what happens if you wake up and go, oh no, I should have bought it at 40? What happens? Has anybody thought of that? That there could be this catalyst out there? Okay, total crypto market cap. In the event we have to wait, right? That's also possible. You had to wait 15 weeks for the crash back in FTX days, and now we're kind of we're at 11 weeks of waiting for total crypto market cap to complete this sort of rounding bottom and go to 2 trillion and basically unwind all of FTX. Just keep in mind, folks, for all the conversation about crypto, what is the one thing people aren't telling you? The market has not unwound the Celsius FTX debacle, has not unwound that. So BlackRock, everyone's in, the case for crypto, the AI, the new versions of DeFi, the Solana phone, and this market has not yet unwound Celsius and FTX. You gotta be kidding me. And people are like, yeah, there's no life-changing money in crypto anymore. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's just starting. And whether it starts now or whether it starts at the beginning of the month, which again is something that I've talked about extensively in Patreon, about how fund managers think at month end and quarter end. But again, if you have to wait 4 weeks, who cares? The trend is going to be epic, just like it was back then. I mean, this is total too. This is total crypto market cap without Bitcoin. Okay, so technically it could go from 740 to 704 billion. That's your downside. Your upside is that it could go from 740 to 1.25 trillion, which is what it would take to unwind Celsius and FTX. Not go to the moon and beyond, just unwind all of this artificial selling. You think that can't happen? You think Galaxy and BlackRock are just, they're here, they're here, to get PR and run commercials? No, they're here to make massive amounts of money for themselves and their customers. You think these trading desks like at Galaxy or Coinbase, they don't know what's coming and they're watching everybody sell this thing? Like, they must be laughing. Crypto Twitter is talking about 35K. Wow. Okay, now something that did frankly, stink was the fact that total 3 altcoins, because Solana couldn't break out, couldn't bust out into this like air pocket that would have resulted in a lot of gratification. So we'll go over Solana later, but this is frequently what happens in bull markets. Like the consensus #1 long can go into ranges, stop people out, bore you to death, and then go. But, that's how pain is created in bull markets. And that's why, remember those pictures of those equity market guys that made all that money? That's how they made it. By being patient and waiting. Put all your eggs in one basket and watch that basket carefully. Right now, we're watching Solana frustrate everybody. As a result, the total 3 did not break out. Back to Ethereum. This is a DeMark moving average. It's calculated not with time, but with quant metrics, meaning not everybody can see it, which is why I like it. Things happen in threes in technical analysis. They tested it once. They tested it twice. oh, look, everyone's selling. It's going to zero. Maybe it goes to 2,000, but really, really, you missed this whole run up and they unwound it for you. How nice. How nice. It's almost tidy. So maybe it looks like crap for 3 days. Who cares? Who cares? I mean, yeah, if you do a trading play and it goes to 20,000, it goes to 2,000. Okay, you care. You got stopped out. Okay, I got that. If we're wrong, we'll lose money. But why are we saying this is the next cycle and we're selling on 5 and 6% down days? I mean, we know Grayscale's got stuff to sell. So he takes the whole market with him, and everybody is all of a sudden become bearish because of market mechanics. Crazy. Now, worst case scenario in Bitcoin, 36,800. These dotted lines are drawn automatically by the DeMark system. You know, that's where the whole post-Christmas rally started from. So maybe they have to wash everybody out. Somebody asked me for disaster levels. If it goes through 40, I'm like, all right, well, maybe it's 36,800. You know, I just can't believe the whole world isn't down there. I personally don't even know how it gets there, but I don't know everything. I don't know everything. It feels like that would be great if you got that, but that almost feels too tidy. Like everyone wants the market to go down so we can all genuflect and buy and have it go straight up. So it either doesn't go down there or it goes way past that. I'm not thinking that way. I'm thinking everybody is selling, buy. Everyone is buying, sell. That's what's worked. Then when it's time to get long, not investment advice, remember why you're here. Immutable X. So just looking at an altcoin people like, you have a DeMark 9 bottom on the 22nd. So if you're looking at this on the 28th, you'll know if this worked, if it's at 220, and you'll know it didn't work if it's at support at $1.32. But again, Immutable X, how many times have they tested this $1.50 level or this 1.7 level? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. They just keep hammering away at it. Okay, well, the bear's got to take it down. They keep testing it, and someone's down there. You know, not trying to fall in love with this or not fall in love with this. If you see it at $1.32, that means everybody up here is washed out. Just like if you go back to Bitcoin, if you see Bitcoin at 36,800, every single person that bought it because of the Bitcoin ETF got washed out. Now, I find that hard to believe that that's possible, but if it does, then that really is Christmas. Now, Solana, okay, this is a 4-hour chart. These highlighted sections of the DeMark RSI, those are not highlighted by me. It's automatically done by the quant system. Now, it's usually, the way I read it is it means you should pay attention. In this case, you watch Solana ramp, make a blow off top, and then come off. You have another highlighted section over here, which probably means down only puke into the 38% retracement and a 9 bottom, possible top, possible emotional top, possible emotional bottom. Is Solana going to go to 60? Some people think so. They just ran all the stops at the 38% retracement at 84. And they may be running them more as I'm talking. But when they get done running the stops and everybody's all done selling, then what? Solana's at 82 and go, oh, wow, it was at 120. Now it's at 82. I'm a crypto hedge fund and I got to get involved. If I got to buy Solana, then maybe I got to buy ETH too. Maybe I got to buy all of it. Maybe it's not just Bitcoin on the next leg up. Maybe it's everything that they've decided is for the next cycle, right? The stuff that people buy now, this is why I've got like SUI and Immutable X, and you're probably wondering what's the thought process of sprinkling in all these altcoins, and I've got more in the Patreon group, so get busy with that QR code, right? What is for the next cycle? I would think Solana would be on the list. And of course, this frustration trade, they do this in in bull markets. This is what they do. This is why bull markets are hard. This is why people have all these cheesy trading sayings about patience, right? The market transfers money from people who aren't patient to people who are. Meanwhile, they're selling, everyone is like falling over themselves to sell Solana at 84. Crazy. Here's a DeMark moving average. They're running the stops below this long-term quant-based moving average. Fascinating, as Mr. Spock would say. Everybody who bought Solana in this range, everybody who's bought Solana since Christmas is now underwater. Everybody, because of what they did here. Actually, since before Christmas. That sounds pretty painful. Right? I mean, everybody got washed out. I mean, when Solana was at 125, if I had been on TV at Christmas and say, hey, don't worry about it, you get to buy Solana at 84, people would have been like, oh my God, I'm going to get to buy it at 84. I'm so lucky. Now everyone's selling it. No one likes it. Ridiculous. INJ, haven't heard a word about it. It's all you heard about on the way up. At 44, everyone loved it. You have a 13 bottom. It should have moved this over a little bit. 13 bottom, massive, down only, stops, turns around, goes up. I got an idea. How about a new high in all these altcoins? How about we take out the Christmas high? Straight up. Everyone's looking for 35K. I was like, okay, maybe. I got another idea. How about we go straight up? Straight up. How's that going to happen? I'll tell you. I'm telling you right now. Okay. So let's talk about macro. So what do we got here? Well, we got a chart that's going from the top left to bottom right, straight down, right? This is ASHR in the equity market. It's the ETF that follows the domestic Chinese stock market. So China has a couple different stock markets. The one that trades on the mainland, that tracks companies on the mainland, is down only. 13 bottoms are not working. There's a 9 bottom here. And let me tell you something, folks. If I'm looking at this chart and you're looking at this chart, the People's Bank of China is looking at this chart. To drive the point home, this is a 4-hour chart of Hang Seng, which is a highly sophisticated, developed index of big stocks in Hong Kong. Okay? So a more sophisticated lot than, say, what's traded in A shares on the mainland. Down only. Down only. Now, there's a hidden pivot level that could indicate a bottom. There's a DeMark 9 signal that could indicate a bottom. And you have the S&P at an all-time high. So you run the People's Bank of China. Their stock market is crashing because their entire system is crashing. Their system is crashing, right? Like they've told people they can't short sell anymore. They're telling mutual funds, the government's telling mutual funds don't sell, and free markets don't work that way. Now, what's the only way we know to effectively manipulate free markets? Print money. Now, you have a disastrous commercial real estate problem. You have a stock market that's down only, and we're all going to sit here, and the People's Bank of China is going to sit there and watch the S&P make new highs as their market is down only and their capital markets are cracking. They're just going to sit there, right? They're going to be like, yeah, hey, you guys want to do lunch at 12? No. They are going to print so much money. They're going to do a Mario Draghi. This guy from the European Central Bank, 2011. Basically step up to the microphone. Europe's insolvent. The government debt's blowing up of all these different small countries. And he just goes, yeah, we're going to do whatever it takes. This guy bought so many government bonds that interest rates went negative. They bought everything. Everything. Now, that's Europe. What do you think is going to happen? Like, I personally think some kind of gigantic announcement is going to come from the Chinese now or later. So if they want to hit Bitcoin, have at it. You're going to wake up one day and you're going to see a headline like China announces, $200 billion of QE every month indefinitely until this crisis is over. You may see Powell have to cut rates quietly before the election, so he doesn't look like he's manipulating the U.S. economy. He's actually preventing a meltdown in the Chinese system, because you can like them or not like them, but if their system blows up, that affects everybody. They were under the impression in 2008 that if our system blew up, it wasn't going to affect them, and I knew that for a fact. That was their sentiment coming out of the bank that I worked at. They were like, yeah, you guys have fun with Lehman and all that. That has nothing to do with us. Wrong. I'm not making this up. Like, this is happening. This is happening. If more money gets printed than was printed for COVID, COVID was concentrated at once, but these guys may have to print indefinitely, and there's no way the Fed is going to do any tightening at all. Like, they're going to have to push money into the system. I mean, you think our banks are not connected to them? And this brings me back to BlackRock. Why do you think these guys are why is there 10 Bitcoin ETFs? Why? Because all 10 people want to run cool commercials? No. They know there's going to be a problem somewhere with currencies somehow. China, could be Japan. I don't know. This is pretty obvious to me that these guys are going to come in. Do you want to wake up one day to an announcement that they're doing $200 billion a month to stop the crash in their markets? I mean, I don't know if they're going to do it today. I don't know when they're going to do it. But if they don't do it, their system's going to melt down. And I haven't seen a central bank yet sit back and go, oh, yeah, let's let the market let's just let it go to zero. We're okay with that. Speaking of stocks, Galaxy Digital, a crypto hedge fund run by Mike Novogratz, ex-Goldman guy who made a crypto hedge fund when everybody made fun of him for making a crypto hedge fund. Now it's like a crypto investment bank. And you have a Jesse Livermore accumulation cone. And they broke out of the cone. They went to attack a gap from the Celsius days at 13, and they didn't make it. And then they killed it all the way down to 8. And normally when you attack a level and you can't get through it, when you go back up there, you blow through it like it's not even there. So we're saying that Galaxy Digital, who is hoovering up all the Bitcoin, all the NFTs, all the crypto VC programs, everything, there's just, they probably just can't buy enough. Mike Novogratz was on Instagram with a cowboy hat on. You are selling him your crypto. They can't sell the stock fast enough because, I guess the ETF is the end for, I don't know, all crypto equities. I don't think that's true at all. I think they just made this thing so ridiculously cheap just because it got so emotional up here. Like, the only thing that's changed is emotion and price. Now, is this going to turn around and go up tomorrow? Well, I don't know. But where's Galaxy going to be in 6 months? Is it going to be at 5 or is it going to be at 37, which is the all-time high? The all-time high is 37, and they're falling over themselves to sell it at 8. Marathon Digital. Okay, I got this right and wrong. Okay. Yes, people were going to want tons of Bitcoin. Yes, the only way to get the Bitcoin that these guys need is to take over a miner or MicroStrategy, but not today. Because everybody is like, all right, well, I want the Bitcoin ETF. I don't want this anymore. But that's really not a market directional decision. It's more like a portfolio management shift in the tides, right? So they ramped it, they dropped it. It's on a diagonal support at 16, and Marathon Digital is actually, the 3-day chart is actually green when they're selling everything. Like everyone's like, oh my God, I missed it. I mean, do you realize Marathon Digital was at 16 in like July of 2022? I mean, this is like, they made you think that you were never going to be able to get it again. And then they just cheapened it up. And they're like, say, oh yeah, here you go. And that's the market update. Okay, let's check to see where this market is. See what's happening. Oh my God. Kim is here. What's up? Crypto Billy in the house. Make sure you check out his channel and his Twitter. Daniel J. Rami Deek is here. Okay. Yes, we can look at near. Yes, I do want to look at near. Yes, I have looked at near. You know what? I kind of like it. Look at this. Look at this. Oh my God. Who is selling this market? Look at this. So this is a 4-hour chart of near. This is a 13 bottom on January 16th. This is the blow off bottom level. And look at the way they do this. It's like, oh, it's down. It's not bottoming. Oh, wait, it might go up. Oh, no. It's going to go up. Down only. You have a 13 bottom. You have a 9 bottom exactly on the DeMark blow-off bottom point. You've got this inverted hammer bottom, which I love as a candlestick formation, right? Oh, come on. Give me some love here. I love these kind of candlestick formations. I don't know why this is not working, but if you can see this over here, right? So it's near the low, right? It's all the way up, all the way down. It looks terrible, but they actually eke out a green candle. It actually closes above where it opened. I don't know, man. This feels like capitulation to me. Absolute, total capitulation. Okay. Now, someone's asking about Rose. Again, the same thing. Okay, I'm having an odd mouse problem here, but again, this dotted line, right? 9 bottom, straight down, 9 bottom, right on the DeMark support point. I don't understand it. Like at 13 cents, it was the greatest thing ever. No one wants it at 9 cents. No one wants it. Absolutely no one wants it. Don't understand it. Steve wants to buy Solana at 78. After seeing some of the things I see here, I would believe just about anything, honestly. In other words, if you want wild price action, I guess this is the era of wild price action because the market is just in that kind of mood. Meanwhile, that 2305 level from that intraday chart is working in ETH. Right? Same thing with the 9 bottom. You have a 13 bottom and a 9 bottom in ETH. I mean, crazy. Right? Richard Barry talking about oversold on lower time frames in some of these coins. Rami is here. Thank you. Okay, summing it up. Patreon, wisdom, analysis based on wisdom, ideas based on wisdom, right? Altcoin plays, small, large, mid-cap on a regular basis, right? I got a whole notebook here of what goes into Patreon, okay? In the meantime, please remember, why are there 10 Bitcoin ETFs? Why are there 10 institutions that want to compete to see who gets all the flows and all the Bitcoin on their books? Why do they want that? And if you can answer that question, and then you can come up with a catalyst like printed money, currency problems, new technology, just a desire and disgust with the system. Why are you here? Why are they here? And why are you here? If you have the answer to those questions, then you have the answer to what's next in this market. I'm your host, Bill Noble. Jump in Patreon. I'll see you soon.